Happy Feast Day of the Holy Family to you, everyone. I am so excited to share another piece of myself with you again today. I truly consider Holy Communion Church to be my found family in Oregon. Many of you may know that I'm a transplant. All of my family lives in the Midwest. And speaking of that family, I come from a big family. My mom, as you can see, the red hair in that picture, she is number 14 of 15 children. Specifically, 8 sons and 7 daughters. Twice a year, my immediate family would return to Iowa for a family reunion. Speaking of which, today is that very day. If I were there, I'd be there. They rent a local firefighter hall every year to host the event, to make sure there's enough room for everyone. When I was young, it was really overwhelming, the sheer number of people I had to remember names. But my mom also had cousins. My cousins were the same age as my mother, so I had a hard time remembering who was my aunt and uncle, who was my cousin, but eventually I got it. I was 11 years old when my grandmother passed in 2003. At the time, she had 34 grandchildren, 14 great-grandchildren. She lovingly set aside a wrapped gift for each of them, and they were distributed at her funeral. Kind of a weird choice in my mind. I had never received a gift at a funeral before, but it made it very memorable. And when we opened these gifts, we discovered 63 rosaries, all different styles and colors, as unique and beautiful as the people who received them. My brother got one that was ruby red with gold links. Every color under the rainbow was emerging. My anticipation grew. What color would mine be? Well, clear beads, teardrop shaped, and silver links. Gotta admit, I was a little disappointed when I got it. But later that day, as I was holding on to it and playing with them, twisting the beads in between my fingers, I saw just a slight glimpse of rainbow would shine in the light. And in that moment, I realized how truly humble and beautiful it was, and I began to cherish it. But what my beloved grandmother had given us kids that day was far greater than any of us understood. She gave us the gift of the Blessed Mother. My grandmother had a strong devotion to Mary. I have many memories visiting her house and seeing the nearly life-size statue she had of the Blessed Virgin in her bedroom. It was quite awe-inspiring. But my experience with the rosary itself had mirrored my reaction to the clear beads. Throughout my childhood and young adult years, I prayed the rosary, but I never had a love for it. It was long and very repetitive. I would grow bored and lost somewhere in between. But that all changed when one day I received this prayer card from a Blessed Carlo Acutis, my favorite not yet saint. On this, it encouraged you to strive to go to Holy Mass and receive Holy Communion daily, spend time in front of the Blessed Sacrament, pray a daily rosary, read daily scripture, go to confession weekly, pray for the grace to become a saint, make sacrifices and self-denials frequently, and ask your guardian angel for help at all times. I wanted to dive head first into all 8 goals, but I knew that would have been setting myself up for failure. So I resolved to pick one and devote myself to that. And then I could add the others. So I picked number 3, pray the daily rosary. But I gotta admit, I started with some help. So I used the Hallow app, and on there, they provide different versions of the rosary for you to pray along with. You can pick a speaker, and they give a mini reflection on each mystery. And it gives you a chance to ponder this mystery and new insights that they provide. They also have a scriptural version, which is also very helpful. In between each Hail Mary, they read a scripture verse, and that helps you even better to meditate on what you're praying on. And it breaks up the repetitive nature just a little bit. But my personal way to pray the rosary is on each bead, I'll pray for a specific person or a cause close to my heart. I'll tie that person into the mystery. For example, if I'm praying the second luminous mystery, which is the wedding feast at Cana, I would pray for a newly married couple, friend of mine, and ask that Jesus would be present to them specifically. I love the rosary in its many forms. I carry one in my pocket every day. And I can proudly say at 31 years old, I have experienced the quiet and humble beauty this sacramental contains. As I grew closer to the Blessed Mother, I began to develop a personal admiration for Saint Joseph. What kind of man must Joseph have been that God would entrust the infant Messiah and his mother into his care? Who is this humble carpenter that has been given the lofty titles of patron of the universal church and terror of demons? A new devotion for Mary's most chaste spouse has developed in my heart. Even better, a loving devotion to the family as a whole, which is why I was so excited when I was told I get to speak to you on the Feast Day of the Holy Family. Mm-hmm. This is my collection, a small part of my collection that I have in reverence for the Holy Family, and I intend to add more pieces as time goes. But now, we're in the final days of Christmas, as it ends with the Epiphany next weekend. Soon the choirs of angels will go silent. The shepherds will have come and gone. The wise men will have departed by another way. And Mary and Joseph will need to flee to Egypt to save Jesus from the wrath of King Herod. But eventually that storm will pass too. There is now peace and quiet. The Holy Family can return to Judea, specifically Nazareth. But before they can get too comfortable, they have to head up to the holy city of Jerusalem to present their firstborn son to God, as they were very faithful Jews. So, as we heard in more detail today, Simeon had his revelation from God. Now, Master, you may let your servant go in peace, according to your word. For my eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared in the sight of all peoples, a light for revelation to the Gentiles, and glory for your people, Israel. Well, now I would like to invite you to quiet your hearts and minds for a moment. Close your eyes if you feel led to. You have been invited to the post-presentation party at the home of Mary and Joseph in Nazareth. See yourself standing at a door. You knock. Joseph opens. Once he sees you, a big grin spreads from ear to ear. He beckons you come inside their modest home. Around the corner, you see Mary and some other women just finishing the dinner, preparing the table. The other guests, mainly relatives and neighbors, all gather around the child and chat about what the Levitical priest Simeon and Anna, the prophetess, had said about him in the temple. The child Jesus opens his eyes. He recognizes you and smiles. He reaches his tiny arms out in your direction. Joseph picks him up and puts him in your arms. As you hold him close, gaze upon him. What are your thoughts? Mary comes to gather the joy seeing you so close to Jesus. Joseph leads the party in a thanksgiving prayer over the food, and then you and the others sit at the table with the Holy Family. Everyone present is enveloped in love, and you wish you could stay in this moment forever. As time passes, the guests excuse themselves, and you too begin to say your farewells. Mary and Joseph say, "Come back anytime. You're always welcome in our home." The Holy Family loves us. The Holy Family wants to spend more time with us. As a community within the Universal Church, We have spent weeks begging for God to come and be with us, awaiting his redemption and the consolation along Simeon, Anna, and all the tribes of Israel. We walked with Mary and Joseph as he promised to arrive soon. He is here. God is with us now and always. God is continually inviting us into his presence, where the Blessed Mother Mary and Saint Joseph permanently reside in glory. Don't forget to stop by their humble home in Nazareth now and again. They still have an open invitation. Oh, one last note. I didn't get to say it back then, but I know you can hear me now. Thank you, Grandma Wernamont. I love you.